there's the ram just casually trotting on afterwards. Good afternoon and good evening. Good morning to those of you still in your morning, but I'm sure everybody's still on Sunday. So hello everyone and welcome to our Sunday PM Safari here at Wild Earth Safari. My name is Mark with Becky on camera, and Tara and Herman are both in final control, and that's it for our crew at the moment, with a few people on leave. And we come to you live from this beautiful Djuma Game Reserve in South Africa. We're part of the Kruger National Park. We're about to head out on a drive, but as we stopped here, there's a little bird in the tree to our left that's making a noise, and I don't expect that it's shouting at anything very big. In fact, it's a kind of bird that it's only really shouting at something within its space. It's called a chin spot batis, and my guess is maybe there's an owl or a snake in this bush, so we're going to do it a 360 around the bush and see if the batis can show us what's up. There was some impala running across the plain, open plain. This is the open area or plain near camp, still referred to as quarantine, on account of having animals quarantined here once upon a time many years ago in a game translocation exercise. They needed to be quarantined so that they could adjust to the sounds and the smells and the new area that they were in before they were released, because if you just bring animals to an area and you just suddenly release them, they can come to all sorts of harm because they don't know the area. So you've got to acclimatize them, and I guess in some ways it's called quarantining them. So the batis just conveniently stops shouting now. I was telling Becky that the chin spot batis only really shouts at something very close to its own comfort zone, as it were, about 10 feet. My thought is, was it maybe a pearl-spotted owl? But it would have flown already by now, and the batises have gone. Oh no, it's there. Yeah, it's the male. He's coming this side. He's starting to chirp again. Come this side, little boy. This is a rather large sickle bush. Okay, he's gone on to that side. Let's see if we can follow him. Sickle bush is also known as the Chinese lantern, and next to it is a monkey pod. That's the male chin spot batis. Funnily enough, the female looks a little prettier. Where he's got the black band across the chest, she's got a lovely russet brown band with a russet brown bib. They're normally together. Just heard her calling. Related to the flycatchers. Very small bird. It's probably only a little bit bigger than a finch. Maybe like a chickadee. Yeah, that was the first note we saw him call now. They normally have a 3-note or a 4-note call, and it's likened to the words 3 blind mice. Oh, that stopped his head for a minute. Your turn. Like the shrikes and the bee eaters and other flycatchers, black line through the eye assists with diurnal hunting. That head is constantly moving, looking for things blowing in the wind, insects. And might have just gone to catch something as I speak. I saw something and flew off. Anyways, that's our opening today. The Chin Spot Batis. I believe there was some rhino at the dam. We can go and look for them. Spent a lot of time in the west this morning. I think we'll spend a bit of time in maybe the more central region, going out to the east to the cut line. Starling. Bryce Starling. Guinea fowl with the 4 little ones. Oh, they're not young, not little ones anymore. They're starting to get colour on their face. I would say it was the 3 little ones, another sub-adult and a female. 3 different generations. But unusually separated from the flock. Unless the rest of the flock is nearby. Stations, anyone on drive on Western Gary? What does that mean? Copy, how's it, Joe? Are any of the Vuya stations out here? Sorry, I was talking over you, go again? Okay, copied. I'll probably go Gary Dam onto the other side. Have you heard any of the Vuyas guys yet? Thanks, Bex. Are there any guests still in the lodge? Okay, copy. Are there still any guests in the lodge? I want to go to the dam. No, I don't want to disturb Lungu, so I'm just checking if there's any guests in the lodge. was speaking to two other guides. One of them, Jacques, who's coming up this way, a little bit south of this junction, from another lodge called Cheetah Plains, coming to drive in this area, and Texan, who's from the lodge for Yatela, part of Djuma. Texan has gone up north, and Jacques is going west. One of the reasons why we sort of communicate like this is just to make sure that we're all covering a different area, so that we can cover a fair amount of ground in finding animals this afternoon, because you never know where anything is going to be. You never know what we're going to find. And because we're in radio contact, whatever we find, we let the others know, so we have a greater chance of seeing things. Active at the moment. We were there this morning, but cold wind, rainy day. Well, it's not rainy. Yeah, there's some rain. There's some rain. Little columns of it moving around. But it's cold and grey. And my guess is that they're all curled up inside the den. Especially the little one. They might wake up later, and maybe later would be a time to go and visit. Depends on where we are, where we get to, and what we find today. Some rhino tracks here, and fresh rhino scrapings in the midden. Let me show you this. This is a midden, or a latrine. We call it a midden, but you can get a midden site in archaeology as well, in paleoanthropology and stuff, when you find sites where early hominids left their shells from their shellfish or their broken stone tools. This is different. This is a rhino maintaining his territory, or sending a message to another rhino at least. And many different ages of dung in this dung site. Been a bit of a wind, so the top of the freshest dung, which is the darkest dung, starting to get dry, but the marks in the road just to the left of that aren't really that noticeable, sort of, where he scraped his feet, facing in the opposite direction and scratching his back legs backwards and then forwards, and then kicking the dung forwards. That's why there's dung on the road. It's been kicked forwards as he brings his foot forward, so he scuffs both his sort of heel and his toe. And that message goes to a lot of other rhino that might pass through here. In fact, there are 3 not very far from us at the moment. We're going to look for them. It was probably one of them that did this. It was probably the biggest bull of the 3. So let's go see if we can see where they went to. viewers have asked us to have a look at some of the tracks around here today for an animal that was on the dam last night, on the dam wall. Hoping somebody had a picture of that. At the moment it's all impala. Impala all up ahead at the lodge. Old rhino tracks, hippo tracks. Maybe that side. A few of our local hippo, who at the moment are moving around a lot. We can't really establish how many there are. And today, for the first time, I heard hippo quite far west of Gowrie Main and Triple M. And so there's a dam there that obviously I didn't know about, that some of the hippo are in. But there's no reason why there shouldn't be. They're hippo all the way down to the Sabi and the Sand River. So the numbers will change constantly as their family dynamics change and children grow up and old males die or get moved on. We do know that some of the hippo that we recognize from time to time do stay within a relatively small area here, and we see them at various different dams. And well, not that one, because you can never tell a hippo just from nostrils, but she is very distinctive. She is easy to recognize, and that's mostly because there's this convex bump on her nose, on her well, between her eyes and her nostrils, I guess you could say, on her face. She's got a what we call a Roman nose. Well, I think I called it that. Looks more like a tapir than a hippo. Hey, Kuko. Can you see can you get the camera from here? I wonder if the camera's looking at us and we looking at the camera. I wonder what would happen if the two cameras zoomed in on each other. Would they just swallow each other's images? Oh, they are looking at us. Hello, everybody. They're on Becky at the moment, so you didn't see me wave. Ah, okay. So that's what the camera looks like. I promised I'd show people what the damn cam looked like. That does a rotation, a 360 degree rotation. And if you zoom out a little bit, you'll notice this is one of the most perfectly shaped Tambuti trees. It's actually, if I were to describe a Tambuti tree and the shape of a Tambuti tree, I would say that is very typical of the shape of a Tambuti tree. And you don't really get to see, I suppose we could call it the skeleton, or the structure of a tree in full summer because it's just covered in leaves. You do get a good idea of its silhouette, but the intricacies of its branches are most noticeable now, and better than when it's got no leaves at all. That's sort of halfway there. Just a very pretty Tamboti tree. Some of the red leaves, looks like flowers are starting to come out on the top of the crown. So that's why the camera moves sometimes when it's windy, because that tree dances in the wind. It sings too. Wind song. It's the noise that trees make when the wind blows through them. So that's Gowrie Dam. For those of you joining us for the first time, this is Djuma waterhole camera that we just showed you. This is what you see from that camera. People like us driving across the dam wall. No, I mean the hippo. There's a pied kingfisher flipping around. I wonder if any of the zoomies have found that today. We had a family of 5 last year. This is probably one of the family that's come back. They've been away for a while, as far as I know. I haven't heard the Hadedas or seen much of them. This is an ibis, the Hadeda ibis. Become a regular feature even in suburbia, in places like Johannesburg and Cape Town and, well, most of the cities, because of the way people tend to gardens and love to have lawns and big trees around them, and those are just ideal places for Hadedas, and most landowners and gardeners and homeowners love them because they spend a day probing your lawn for crickets and what are they called? Commando worms, caterpillars, things that your grass doesn't like, or things that do like your grass but you don't like them in it. So this is probing mud at the moment. Let's go find some rhino. Or elephant. Or impala. Jack, wonderful to hear from you again. Haven't heard from you in a while. But hello, Jack. Jack was talking about this animal that was on the dam wall last night. He was on camera at the time. Well, I'm guessing it might have walked along one of the roads here. I didn't see tracks on the other side. These rhino have just been here because this road's very full of rhino tracks. because I can't find anything doesn't mean there wasn't anything there. I'm just saying I can't see anything here. This is a very exposed place, very windy. Over the tracks, well, there are tyre tracks over a lot of things. There's some kudu tracks. There are these rhino tracks that are actually sleeping here in the sand. There are numerous bird tracks and impala tracks. But this animal could have come from anywhere, and some people are saying maybe it was the size of a porcupine. Sounds about right, but I'd love to see a picture of it to be sure. It's always hard not having much of a picture in my head what I'm thinking or what I'm thinking it could be. But Jack, it's not the greatest light for looking at tracks. Maybe further down, but there are other animal pathways that come into Gowrie Dam from the drainage line and places, so it could have come in from anywhere. I'm just not seeing anything. Okay, I'm hoping I brought a scarf. I did. Thanks, Tara. Saying these rhino went down into this drainage line here. Vivian wants to know if you could relate the fact that actually they must have come out of the drainage line because their tracks are here on the road heading east. Here's some nyala. They're coming out of the bush. Stop and wait until they do. Female in front, some youngsters coming up at the back. Very much so, Vivian. I think what domestic dogs do after toileting, the way they scratch at the grass, is very much the same way, same principle as to why rhino do it, and same reasons, similar reasoning, just that they don't do it in the same place all the time. They'll do it everywhere they toilet. Hey little ones, you just like the kudu, that lovely white tail or white fluff under the tail for flag signalling. You see the different markings on the tail for all sorts of body language. So must be so many subtle signals that they do, and when you look at them for a while and you see every now and then there's either a strong tail flick or just a subtle tail flick, like the third one, the one that we're looking at now. There's a youngster coming up behind her, and every now and then she just flicks it just a little bit. There are no insects out today. There's no reason to flick a tail for insects. What she's doing is she's just giving messages to those coming up behind her. And the little one spreads the message, and then the next one, as it comes to the same place, sends the same message, even if there's nobody behind it. But if they need to make a statement, they flash that broad white underneath of their tail, and that attracts everybody's attention very quickly. In fact, so much that it can distract the predator that's chasing one of them, and they can all get away. But now they're all running to catch up because we're coming close. Oh, they stopped. Bye, children. This is another midden. The rhino have this one. Let me just check how warm it is. Very, very warm. I guess you could say it's almost steaming. So they're close. You, Mr. Rhino. Oh, you possibly gone. See, they've been up and down here all day. Very recent. This is very recent. Not much of a clear indication. They've been every which way. I'm just going to have a look quickly at the most obvious places. More dung. It could have carried on down Central Road. Hello, Ellen. Ellen in Illinois. Hi, Ellen. Where do the crocodiles go? Not sure. Go to other dams. Maybe they go back to the river. Hello, Jackleberry. Yeah. Beautiful tree. Ellen wanted to know where the crocodiles go. It's difficult to say without being able to follow them, but my guess is they go back to bigger waters, bigger dams, or even back to the river. Maybe the same crocodile that experienced Gari Dam drying up many years ago decided, while there's still water around, to make its way back to where it came from. But no, they don't hibernate. They would still be active. Well, active to the point of rhino didn't come this way. They might have gone in there. We'll have to look for them on Twin Dams Road again. Spend a lot of time sunning themselves during the day. They don't feed as much because the temperatures have dropped, but they'll sun themselves during the day and go back into the water at night. I guess on the odd hot day they might hunt, they might catch something, but generally if they've eaten well in the summer they can last all the way till the next summer before they have to eat again. 8 or 9 months. Thank you, Raisa. Saying the elephant went towards Mvubu Road. Didn't know there was an elephant. Thanks. That means we can go back that way too. These rhino didn't go anywhere that I can follow them right now. They can't be far, but they're obviously far enough off the road that we can't see them. Good afternoon, Charlie the Tuner. Charlie the Tuner. Asking about the Nyala stripes. Are they born with the stripes? Or do they get the stripes with age? Actually, it's a bit the other way around. The stripes are actually very prominent when they're born, and they actually kind of fade with age. So sometimes you see very old adult Nyala with very faint stripes, especially the bulls. But even in even in kudu, the stripes also fade a little bit, but they're very strong as youngsters. But they're born much the same way as the zebra's born with stripes, so is a tiger. Leopard's born with its spots. Can never change them. Another midden. There's nothing fresh in the midden. See, they might be heading down the drainage line, alternating between the eastern side and the western side in the middle. on their way to Chelapan. So we can do that. We'll take Vulture's Nest to Chelapan. If we don't see anything, we'll head back up Twin Dams Road and then go and have a look up on Vubu Road. See if there's an elephant up there. Thanks for your concern to a lot of you sending in wanting to know about the hippo. I don't know, unfortunately I can't tell you anything about the hippo. It's moved on to another dam, or it's hard to keep track of individuals like that, especially since he was lying right on the edge of our traversing area. He could have gone into Little Gowrie or Jordan, or what's it, Hoffman's, wax bulls and grey-headed sparrows. We had grey-headed sparrows on our list here. Bye-bye sparrows. Little bird party here. But they all dispersed when I stopped. But unfortunately I don't know anything about that. I didn't even see that hippo, but it was already gone the day after you last saw it. As far as I know. It was what, 2 drives ago, 3 drives ago, 4 drives ago, 3 days ago. From what I could see, I could only see it through the monitor because I was directing in the afternoon, and I couldn't see much. But what I could see was it had a few bite marks on its back, and I have to tell you that 99% of the males spend most of their life with marks like that on their bodies. That is part of hippo life. It's like I went to a place in Northern California, Año Nuevo, where the elephant seals are, and I didn't get to see it, but when those males go at each other, boy, they inflict some pretty serious wounds as well, but they heal. It's all surface stuff. Hippo's sweat is an antibiotic. It's not so much its sweat as much as the oils that it secretes from glands in the skin. It's like a pink sweat. It's got antibiotic properties in it. Much the same way as, say, cats have got antibiotic properties in their saliva. So when they lick their wounds, they're actually helping them heal. Hippo have been at it for a few million years. Oh, there's lion track. Although we know that this was one of those lions that went all the way up Mumba Road, crossed Cedar Cut line, and was found in Torchwood this morning. Came across the property last night from Triple M in the west, walked through the entire property and out the east into Torchwood. 2 male lions. Don't know who they were, unfortunately. Maybe Matingalan. Matingalan. Arizona is on the cards at the moment. Marissa from Arizona. Were you anywhere near that stuff? Oh, Marissa. I saw a film of that Phoenix, that, was it near Phoenix? What did they call it? Sounded like an Arabic name. Something with a B. Anyways. Thanks for your question, Marissa. Was asking about that elephant bull at the dam. He was alone. Was he traveling alone, or was he separated from a larger herd? Yes and no to both questions. Yes, he was alone. No, he was not necessarily alone. Yes, he had split off from a larger group. Well, no, he might not have split off from a larger group. At one point he would have, but bulls, if it was a bull, it's quite normal to see them on their own. But even when we do, we don't know that they're alone, because sometimes elephants can travel together but still be fairly far apart, that you don't ever see any of the others. Like a couple hundred meters. Still move in the same direction. They keep up with each other, they listen to each other, they communicate to each other. If it was a cow, it would be a different matter. Now, if it was a female elephant and she was on her own, then maybe that would raise a few eyebrows. Because there might be extenuating circumstances that one might be able to postulate on. But elephant bulls spend some of their time alone, and some of the time they spend with other bulls in bachelor groups, and sometimes they socialize with the herds, especially their family, their natal group, as it were, and relatives, elephants that they have grown up with, that they constantly meet up with, and elephants that they have social and familial bonds with. But the status, it never stays the same. One day an elephant might be on its own, and the next day it might be with a group, a family group, and the next day it might be with a bachelor group. In elephant society, males that grow up together will invariably meet up again in time, because they will learn about the area that they grow up in. They will learn about the plants and everything, and I'm talking about a very large area, something that'll cover 100 miles or so. So the chances that their paths will cross with elephants that they grew up with and elephants they interacted with as youngsters is very, very high. In fact, they sometimes seek out family to spend time with, and they become friends for life. Maybe spending months together with a buddy, with another male or another 3 or 4 males. What you doing, Franklin? Excuse me. Haboob, yes. I see it starts with a B. Haboob. I knew it had a B. I didn't get your last one. The storm what? Oh. Thank you. Kay. Hello, Kay. Nice to hear from you. Dawn. Thanks for that. Call the Haboob. Well, gee, I should have remembered that. I mean, it's got... Never mind. I'm sure you know what I mean. It starts with the B. No, it doesn't. It starts with an H. The Haboob. That must have been, I don't know, daunting. There was one video clip I think that was from a kid in Dad's car. They were driving into Haboob. Is it called the Haboob, or is it the name Haboob? I don't know. refer to it as the Haboob or just Haboob. But they were driving along, and there was this, what was a mile high and 100 miles wide. The size of something like that we can't even comprehend in a country like this. But interesting, it's like straight out of a B-rated movie. Not B-rated, B-type movie. What do you call it? B-class movie. B-movie. The Mist. What was that one? They're all stuck in a supermarket. The Mist. Where these things come out of the mist. Yep. Classic horror movie plot. The Haboob engulfs Phoenix. Your worst nightmares are unleashed. Hello, Robin. Did we ever find the hyenas, or the animal the hyenas were dragging this morning? No, we were going in the opposite direction, Robin, but we did go to the hyena den just because I thought the direction it was dragging it. If you look at the map and you take that Spam Road in a straight line, it's at like northeast. Let's go down to the river to see if these rhino have reached here yet. Anyways, if you take a straight line continuing with Spam Road into that area before you get to Zoe's Road, you pretty much come to the hyena den. I'm sure that whatever it was that was dragged to the hyena den. Who knows, maybe they're having a Sunday lunch or breakfast, their Sunday meal indoors today. That's why they haven't been out. They weren't out this morning. By the sounds of things, they weren't out this afternoon. There's a rhino. There's a rhino. That was a good guess, Mark. Yeah, it was, Mark. But you knew what you were doing, Mark. Yes, I know. Except this is crunching and this is going to make a noise. So he might not like that. Excuse me, rhino. Can we come and see you despite all the dead wood and noise that I'm going to make? Oh, there he is, one of them. And he's not minding too much about all this twig snapping, but we'll let him relax. And then as soon as he is grazing again, he seems to be quite relaxed. This is a big bull that spends a lot of time on his own. There's another one. I can just see movement in that underneath those big tambuti trees. Right, let's get a bit closer. Crunch. Two, three, four, five. Gee, all of them are here. Well, all of them from this particular crash that we know of. Hey, dude. Hey. Sorry, old man. Sorry, boy. It's okay. Relax. Relax. Oh, he's gonna take it out on that bush now. He's just got an exceptionally large, what looks like a scrotal sac, but it's not, because rhino have undescended testes, like elephants. They don't really have a scrotum. So I don't know why it's all swollen like that. Yeah, look at that. That's a tree. Looks like it's been rubbed by something else as well. It's rubbing on that tambuti. Okay, we can leave that now. one track mind. This is another form of territorial marking. This is probably the bull that has been defecating in the midden and scratching his feet. Not too sure how many more there are down the bottom there, but with him going down, there's one or two of them standing up. Let me just tell the guys about this. I got 5 or 6 in Kombi in Mulwati, just off Twin Dams Road, south of Wahlberg's Nest. Yes, well said, Kay. You would have thought I'd remember that name. Hey, good night, Mr. Rhino. 2, 3, 4. I can see at least 5. It's one of the younger ones that's just stood up at the back. Not sure. Could be the young female. No, it's not. It's dear old floppy ear. Let's move again. Stay down. Don't get up on my account. Oh man. A little bit. Really looks funny with that ear. I think more scratches on his face now. He's a little bit of a troublemaker, this little boy. I'm guessing he's only about 4 years old. Not quite full grown yet. He'd maybe be a bit bigger at 5. Maybe he's about 4 to 5. And we have seen him causing a lot of trouble with other rhino, starting fights. So he probably just gets put in his place every now and then. Good day, Elizabeth. Oh, that was creepy. I've got a wind off the back of my ear, almost like somebody was blowing really hard on it. And it was just a little breeze, but it felt so concentrated. Elizabeth wanted to know if lion can kill rhino, and if their teeth, if they can penetrate the armor of the rhino to get to the flesh. Not that I don't know of lion taking rhino, Elizabeth. I think possibly youngsters. I think it would be a pretty difficult task. Although, if they can subdue an elephant, maybe a rhino. But rhinos are pretty boisterous. I mean, if a rhino was bouncing around with that horn, it would be quite a forceful lion. It would be interesting to see how many records, if there are any records of lion taking down adult rhino, and whether, if they did, they could get through the skin. But they somehow get through elephant skin. The lion that take down elephant. But you see, for an elephant, if they immobilize an elephant to the point where they tire it out and they get it on the ground, the elephant dies relatively quickly once it's on the ground like this, lying on its belly. It's just the makeup of its internal organs and the weight of the body of the elephant are enough to cause suffocation. Hyena are known to take young rhino. Well, I know of hyena taking young rhino. And maybe lion have taken youngsters too. But it would be interesting to find out the records of rhino being taken by lion. I'm sure my Smithers will say something about that, but my Smithers is out of date. I think even when my Smithers was, my edition of Smithers was before the lion started taking down elephant in Botswana, so I don't even think they would mention the elephant killing, and now it's a regular occurrence 25 years later. Any station coming to Nkombi? I didn't copy, go again. I'm off Twin Dams Road. There's that one small ndlele, we haven't used it for a long time, coming down to the river, down to the Mulwati, east of, or rather, sorry, south of Warburg's Nest. Yeah, they're Lalapanzi, so it doesn't look like they're going anywhere. Lalapanzi. Lying down. Sit. Yeah, lying down. Panzi means down. Lala means sleep. Or lie. In Shangan, Tlela Lehansi. Oxpecker is picking at a wound on its face. Probably been scratched fighting. Probably getting at the salt of the blood. I was wondering how long it would take him to react. He's got a little nick there, and he's also got a little nick on his cheek. Maybe it was... oh, there, also, just above his left eye is another fresh nick too. Almost at the top of the screen. Halfway between his horn and his ear. I wonder if the little boy with the floppy ear has been testing this old man. Oh, it's a rough and tough life, Mr. Rhino. can't be comfortable. You're lying on a stick. He just closed his eyes to give me my answer. Hello, Debs in Connecticut. During a rainstorm, do most animals take shelter? Sometimes yes, sometimes no, sometimes depends. Sometimes they just put their head down and wait it out. Some animals, I've seen rhino playing around in like the first rains. They get very animated. Sometimes when the rain is cold and there's a wind with it, yes, they'll seek cover, they'll seek shelter. But a lot of the time in the summer months, after really, really hot days, if you get a rainstorm, like a thunder shower in the late afternoons or something, I've seen animals just carrying on doing what they normally do. They cool down, they just carry on. I've seen lion hunting. I've seen lion I've been following them. And then a storm broke out, and we just carried on following them in the pouring rain, and they just carried on doing what they were doing, getting drenched. Well, we were also getting drenched, but that was the fun of it. Ear goes back, the oxpecker goes in, brings the ear forward, throws the oxpecker out. Oxpecker gives up. Tries on another ear. Back to that face. Back to that little nick on his nose. Well, perhaps we'll leave them sleeping. What we can do is I can just change position just slightly before we go, and might be a little bit awkward the angle, but we just get a look at the others and how many there might be. Oi. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's one lying flat on his side down there next to Floppy. Oh, it's rolling over now. Maybe that's the little female. 2, 3, 4, 5. Down there, 6. There you go, there's a pile of rhino. Call it 10, easily 12 tons of rhino. We'll find something else. Let sleeping rhinos lie. I'm going to steal a piece of this. This is to hide away while I drive. This is to hide while I drive away. Jody, hello, Jody in New Mexico. Difference between white and black rhino. Well, now we better just stay because I've got him up now, and I'll have to just show you now that we can see. Sorry to get you up, old man. Didn't really mean to. But look at that square face of his. This is one of the main differences between this, the white rhino, which is better known as the square-lipped rhino. Look at his face. First of all, he's got a very long head, and the bottom of that head, 2 nostrils on either side, well, one on either side I should say, big nostrils right next to his mouth, and that very, very wide mouth with very thick lips with which he pinches at the grasses, and it's what we would probably consider a bulk grazer. He eats a lot of grass. Then can take time off like now while the stomach deals with such a coarse meal. The other thing about the white rhino, other than that, it's very big. But you see how he stands at rest. At rest he stands and face and nose is almost on the ground. He's not putting his head down. That is how the white rhino is designed. It's got a very long face, so the neck is pretty much made up of a lot of muscles and tendons hooked to those huge dorsal spines above the shoulders that turn into that nuchal muscle that carry all that muscle and tendons to keep the head and neck down there. And the big size of the rhino. The black rhino, known as the hook-lipped rhinoceros, is a lot smaller. It's about the size of that little floppy ear rhino for a big adult. And their heads are held more or less parallel with their body because they're browsers, they eat leaves. So they've got a slightly smaller face, shorter face. And because they eat leaves, they need something to assist or to aid them in picking off leaves from trees, and their upper lip, instead of being big and square and wide like that, their upper lip is sharply pointed and it hooks over the bottom lip and is almost prehensile. They're able to maneuver that lip, that upper lip, to gather many, many leaves and twigs into their mouth to have a big mouthful of food. Their horns are a little different. They don't have quite the nuchal muscle that the white rhino has. Smaller feet. Let me show you, while we've got this in profile, let me show you a picture of the black or hook-lipped rhinoceros, and you'll be able to compare the two. Here we go. Even-toed ungulates. No, these are odd-toed ungulates. What am I saying? There. Have a look at that. Okay, this one is running. As you can see, the head is more or less parallel, but it's got a very distinct hooked lip, a very pointed face, much smaller than the white rhino. Not only the overall body, but the actual head and face. And I'm hoping that one day we can find one of these for you. It's not impossible. We've had rhino, the black rhino, come through here before. We've had their dung and found their tracks. We haven't been lucky enough to catch them on camera yet. There's always a first time. That's what happened the other day. Tara came around a bend and there were 3 ostrich in the road. I would have thought we'd see black rhino before we saw ostrich. Hello, Sarah. Thanks for your email. Sarah's, by the looks of things, I sneaked a peek at your website, Sarah. Done some amazing travelling. I've been to a number of places where I've lived, actually. Sarah does a lot of safaris. Sarah was saying she was in Zambia recently. Mind the worry bush mark. And in Zambia, the rhino there have their own 24-hour armed guard, one guard per rhino. I'm not surprised. Up in Kenya, I know in the Mara they have guards for the rhinos as well. That's sad but true. Sad, but that's what it has come to. Unfortunately, there are too many rhino in Kruger to be able to do that. There are about 12,000 rhino here in Kruger, and it would be very difficult. Look, here are some interesting caterpillars. There's a small bunch there, there's a small bunch there, and another, but here's a bigger bunch. We've been fairly far from them. We've never been this close. And these are a bunch of hairy caterpillars that are known as the processionary caterpillars. Looks like silk around them, but it's not. That's their hair. Those are hairy caterpillars. They're communal, they're social. They're all siblings. They all come out of the same moth. Same batch of eggs, and they would have stayed together they will all their lives until it's time to pupate. Looks like they've still got another stage of this larva to go through before they can pupate. They get a bit bigger than that. And they'll be out at night all over this buffalo thorn, feeding on its leaves, what's left of its leaves. Actually, they're on a piece of tambuti. They aren't even on the buffalo thorn. But when one moves, they'll all move, and they all follow each other. Well, they all follow the leader, head to tail. And you sometimes see them when they're moving from one tree to the other along the ground. And that's why they're called processionary caterpillars, because there's a long procession of them, depending on how many there are. Oops, sorry. Thank you, Shelley, sending me a picture of a moth. Really, Mark? I should have waited for Becky to zoom out. Shelley, send me a picture of a moth. Thank you, Shelley. I shall look at that when I get home. Thank you, Luann in Pennsylvania, for sending through a recipe, I guess, for cough mixture. Pretty much over with my cough. Every now and then I still get a bit of an itch, but it's certainly not as bad as it was 2 days ago. Getting a lot better. Our station's leaving 6 and Kombi in the Mulwati, just off Twin Dams Road. I've left the Quarry branch in the road. Has anyone seen it in Glove today? Yeah, go. Thanks. Weaver's Nest, Gary Main Junction with some elephant heading south, so they're probably gone by now. Let's go to Mvubu Road. Go ahead. I didn't know who you were looking for, I just said go ahead just in case it was me. So was that a crash? Sorry, Peggy. Was that crash of rhino or crash? Anne in Indiana was saying a crashed crashing crash of rhino. Anne in Indiana. Next. Peggy, would you ever see black and white rhino together, and would they ever mate? Crossbreed? No. As to seeing them together, I guess there are remote possibilities. There are times when it's, yeah, maybe. I know that when my sister and brother-in-law were living in a national park in KwaZulu-Natal, my brother-in-law was the warden there at one stage, and there was a good population of black rhino, and there were a lot of white rhino, and theoretically, because it was very hilly and mountainous, theoretically you could have quite easily had a day when you were with the white rhino and you would be able to see a black rhino moving in the background. I'm sure it was seen, and I'm sure it has been seen. As to the mating, can't happen. They are different, not only different species, but they're a different genus. And if it did happen, it's highly unlikely that the offspring would survive. I know that in captivity things do take place because animals are thrust together, and, well, nature takes its course. But theoretically, it shouldn't even get that far. The white rhino male shouldn't even react to the black rhino estrus scent, and vice versa, and the genitals shouldn't match, and then the egg shouldn't match with the sperm, and then even then, if all those things do manage to take place, the offspring definitely wouldn't be fertile, but it also would be a very vulnerable animal, and it would probably die from some complication. Doing like a big figure 8 today. Back over Gowrie Dam so we can go up on Google Road. And I'm going to have to put on some layers soon. Very soon. Always colder than I think it will be. And I never learn my lesson. It's one thing early morning. Early morning, there's a lot of layers on, and all you have to do is take one or two of them off as the day wears on. And sometimes, like today, it just never warmed up, so you don't have to take too many layers off. But when the day starts fairly warm and then it gets colder, you can't start off with all the layers. Somehow it just doesn't help to just add things later. Never get the cold out from within. Yes. Hello, Stacy. Stacy in Melbourne, Australia. Why are they called black and white rhino if they're not black and white? I think that's quite an appropriate question. And it's a very good one because I've heard different reasons. The white rhino is fairly simple, straightforward. Some of the first settlers in South Africa were Dutch, and the Dutch referred to the white rhino because of its wide mouth And the Dutch word for wide is wijd. I think it's W-I-J-D, wijd, or something similar. Anyone from Holland, please feel free to correct me. Mel, Jacques, maybe. But the English then came along, and they didn't quite understand the Dutch very well. And the word wijd is very close to the word wit. Very subtle difference. In spelling not so much, but in how it's pronounced. And wit means white instead of wide. In much the same way as, I suppose, to a non-English person, wide and white, unless you enunciate, sounds similar too. So it was a bit of a mix-up of languages, and so they were called white rhino in English, and it had nothing to do with them being white, because the white rhino and the black rhino living in the same area will be the same color. It's mostly the dust and the mud and the sand that they roll in, that's the color they take on, but their background color, their base color, is of course just grey. The same kind of grey. Black rhino, I believe, I don't know how true it is, but black rhino was called black rhino because they were discovered on the Black Umfolozi River, and when they were first found, and I suppose maybe someone at first called them, it's the Black Umfolozi rhino, and then somebody came along eventually and said, well, is it necessary to say Umfolozi if they also found in Schlischlui? But it's the same rhino, so you couldn't really say it's the Black Umfolozi and Schlischlui rhino. They just decided to drop all the other names and call it a black rhino. Whether that's true or not, I couldn't tell you. Makes for a nice story though. Schlischlui and Kuzi and Umfolozi. Some of those areas in KwaZulu-Natal are the very reason why they are rhino today, and in the numbers that they are today, because of extensive breeding projects that go way, way back to the middle of last century. Excuse me, Franklin, when the white rhino was almost extinct and they started breeding them. Okay, children, off the road. Did your mother ever teach you road sense? Obviously not you. Yes. Hello Johnny in Washington State. Still got to tell me where in Washington State. Seattle. Johnny wants to know if we still carry on with the drives in the rainy season. Well, Johnny, yes we do, but we do have to take the vehicle into cover when it rains. We can't cover it all to prevent it from getting wet. There's just too much electronic gear on this vehicle. Any possibility of it getting wet and blowing amplifiers and things, we just have to close shop and go home, because we wouldn't be able to replace some of this equipment. It is all the stuff that we've got in the back of the Gunda. It's a lot more than what we've ever had in the Jigger, because it required different equipment to transmit in HD and 3D than it did in SD. But all of the stuff that we've got on the back here is stuff that is normally in a studio. It's normally in air-conditioned cases in a studio, and we've got them in trunks on the back of a vehicle driving through the African bush. I mean, even in these dusty conditions, it's putting these machines through their paces, which is why we've tried to put them in airtight lockers, airtight trunks. But I can't get wet. and the camera we can't really cover. And also, when you'll notice, sometimes with the camera at the dam, when it's raining, the lens gets so wet you can never keep it dry, and you wouldn't see anything because the camera would continually focus on the wet lens rather than what you're looking at. So it poses a problem to create a waterproof, weatherproof vehicle. We would have to be closed in, and that just doesn't really work. Not seeing any signs of this elephant that came this way. He might have been in the drainage line. Maybe he's on the fire break. Should be burning these fire breaks pretty soon, I'm sure. So unfortunately, sometimes in summer we have to cancel the drives, or we delay the drives. We'll go back. Sometimes there's short rainfalls. Oh, there's a sulphur-breasted shrike. I hope he's going to let us see him. Sometimes these are really short showers, and yeah, got a lovely orange, sulphur orange breast, and it's going to be hard to find inside that buffalo thorn. If I make an alarm call, maybe it'll call him out, but it's only sending him deep into the back of the tree. Not working. Sometimes spishing helps. Spish till the cows come home, and he's not going to come this side of the tree. It's a very pretty little bird. One of the bush shrikes. It's actually one of the smallest of the bush shrikes, called the sulphur. It used to be known as the orange-breasted bush shrike, but it got a better name. Some birds get names that aren't fitting when their names change, but that one went from orange-breasted to sulphur-breasted. Although one might think that this sulphur has a bad connotation. That's Tambuti Dam across the way. We can't go there on Buffelshoek. This is the cut line, the boundary between us and our northern neighbour. I'm just going to go up to the top of this hill, and then we're going to go east again. Nothing up here. Or down there, or that way. So we'll go east and have a look at Buffelshoek Dam. Should get there by the time it's time to start playing with the light. I'm looking for some nocturnal children. Looks like clear skies to the south, and that bodes well for not only a starry and moonlit night, but also for better weather tomorrow. Although sometimes it's nice to have cloud cover, it keeps it warmer. Impala Rams are a bit nervous with each other. The way they're reacting looks like they've been sparring. They insist on being together, but they're just nervous around each other. One makes a move and the other one goes very defensive. So they've obviously been sparring, but it's only practice. There's no need to get into a proper sparring match now, because there are no females to mate with. Well, there are no females in Estrus at any rate. It's almost the entire road all the way to Cheetah Cut Line. Every time I look at a long straight road like that, I hope to see something walking along it, like a lion or something. One day it'll happen. That's not today. Hello, Lisa in the UK. Heard us talking on the radio referring to Nkombi, which is rhino. Nkombi refers to white rhino, Lisa, which we've just seen. Black rhino is referred to as either Spejan, Ubejan, or Spejan. Zulu, I don't know whether it's both Zulu and Shangaan or just, I'm not sure, I have to be honest. But yes, it only really refers to the white rhino. Ubejan is the black rhino. And I'm thinking it's probably more Zulu than it is Shangaan, but it's not Afrikaans. Afrikaans it would be Renoster, Wit Renoster or Swart Renoster, white and black rhino respectively. To the other side of the dam where it's flat and we can see better. Doesn't seem to be much here right now. This is Buffelshoek Dam. A hippo with baby draped across her back. Beverly, I'll get to your question in a moment. One of the baby hippos that was born not too long ago. I'm hoping. Stay there, little one. Just gonna put my other jacket on as well while we're here. Let me go forward and see. I didn't even see all of the hippo, but when we were on that side of the dam, I hardly saw those hippo. They must have all been underwater, and now they've popped up. Beverly was asking about lion. How many lion in the Pride, if we have lion? And are we ever going to see lion? And let me put my scarves on and zip up. Just going to make myself warm. Beverly, we do have lion. As far as I know, there are about 2,500 lion. Well, that was last year. Maybe by now there's about 2,600 or 700. I think there were at least a 10% increase in the population, probably even more. And lion are pretty much governed by the territories that they live in. They might have overlapping home ranges, but their territories are pretty exclusive. And we're in a very small area where we happen to be on the edge of several different prides of lion, the edge of their territories. Oh, look at that. Mama hippo opening, giving you a yawn. It's funny. Just looking at this big Balanites that we have up here and this big tree. There's some buffalo weaver nests, and one of the branches broke and the nest's fallen in the water, and there's a male buffalo weaver down there playing with some of the sticks. I wonder if he's stealing sticks from the old nest to put in a new nest. There he is. Red-billed buffalo weaver. There he goes. Red-billed buffalo weaver. But the lion that we're likely to see are lion that can come in from any one of the four sides of our area, because there are different prides that live on the outskirts of Djuma, and Djuma is sort of this place where a number of those home ranges overlap. In fact, there were two groups of lion found this today, but they were out of the area that we cover. You see, to try and explain it to you better. No, really, it's not funny, hippos. I'm trying to be serious here. The animals can move over much greater areas than we can. We're limited to our broadcast range. We're limited to the land that is owned by Djuma. And the two just happen to be about the same size. So we can't follow the lion when they leave the area that... Now, if they're on Djuma, where we are now, when we've had lion here, we've had lion almost everywhere, and leopard everywhere around this dam at any one time in the past. But if there was lion here and they started moving north and they got up to that road, that big road that we've just come off of, which is only 100 meters away, when the lion cross over that road, we can't follow them. So the lion have a much larger area to roam in, or the lion have the whole of Kruger. So there's a good chance we will see lion. Sometimes we go for a few days and maybe even a couple of weeks sometimes without seeing lion. And I'm hoping that that's what brings people back time and time again to view the safari, is because you never know what you're going to see, and there's always going to be a possibility that we're going to see something that we haven't seen before, or you for that matter. And by the same token, it's quite possible that we could get into the car now. I'm going to, now that I'm bundled up a little bit more, and we start driving. There's a 50-50 chance that we can see lion around the next corner. We don't know these things until we go and look. So let's go and look. Look for tracks, look for other signs. Bye, hippos. Are you warm enough? Okay. Always got that blue tarpaulin you can wrap yourself in. When you're feeling blue, all you have to do. Speaking of Cheetah let's go and visit Cheetah, our eastern boundaries. Hello April, welcome to a Wild Earth Safari. April I think is new. I haven't heard April before, or heard from April. I was born in April. When were you born? April? Wants to know, why aren't the animals spooked when we drive next to them? Well, some of them are, April, but generally most of the animals are very accustomed to the behavior of the vehicles, because the vehicles tend to play a very passive role in their lives. They're never chased by the vehicles. We never go chasing after them. We never act aggressively towards them. We never hunt them. And we tend to give them right of way. So all the animals that are here have all been born to vehicles. I mean, almost every single animal here, at some point in their early upbringing, when they're still with their mothers, was exposed to vehicles from a very young age. They were exposed to vehicles from a very young age, and they learned from the behavior of their mothers that they don't need to fear the vehicles, and that behavior is then just passed on generation to generation. You can't drive directly towards them. You can't. There's a limit to how close you can get to them before they either get aggressive with you or they move away. And that's varying distances depending on the animal and sometimes depending on the species. Mostly it's the individuals. It's a different matter when one's sitting quietly in the vehicle and the animals decide out of their own accord to come close to the vehicle. That's very different, because under those circumstances the animal's in control, and I will let any animal come as close as it wants to the vehicle. Sometimes I'll tap the vehicle if I think it's getting too close, because I don't want them to touch it. I don't want them to break. I don't want them to break that bridge, that one sort of little tenuous bridge that keeps us separate from them. And they suddenly think that they can trust all vehicles, and then the next person they go and touch is not going to take it kindly. So for the sake of the animals, I'd rather I'd let them come close, but if they want to come a little bit too close, I'll tap on the vehicle or I'll shoo them away. The human voice is very strong, and when they're passively approaching and they're not aggressive, and you get an animal next, whether it's a lion or an elephant or no matter what it is, and it comes very close to the car, just shouting at it, not even loudly, just shooing it away. It works, because it's not acting aggressively. If anything, its immediate response is going to be defensive. Well, it's going to move away. Now that's interesting. Excuse me a moment. Oh, once again, I've wrapped my thingy in my scarf. Where are you, cat? The leopard tracks here. I can't see where he's gone. It's a male. A big male. Getting too dark to follow tracks. Need a light. Wait 1 moment. I think there's some vehicles on top of them. Find out from the guys in a minute. Spending a few minutes trying to see which direction on a big junction like this. Also gives one the opportunity to listen in case it's calling. A big male like this is going to be calling later, I'm sure. He's walking around. Unless he's hunting. Any station come across Ingwe Mkonzo at Guaripan? Bill and Sharon, hello to you. Wanting to know the current temperature. I don't know. We need to get. I think both Tara and I have been saying this for a while now, and we both forget. I'll try when I'm on leave. We need to get a thermometer and a barometer. I have couple of those ship's dials here on the dashboard. I'd say it's probably maybe about 15, 16 degrees Celsius. It's chill. It's a bit chilly for me. It's not cold for you. For a lot of you, you have minus temperatures and snow and ice. Should be a cool summer's evening. Tex, I don't think there's any update. Do you know if anybody found Ingwe Mkonzo Guaripan this morning? Yeah, I saw that. This is coming on pipeline from Chidakatlan down to Guaripan, also my daughter. Melbourne, Beverly. Another name in Melbourne, Australia. Wanting to know if Beverly wants to know if hippos give birth underwater. Most of the time, yes, it's the safest place for them to give birth. But most of the time they do, Beverly. Hippos also suckle underwater. In fact, for the first couple of weeks, normally, I say normally because we've seen otherwise, but normally they'll keep their youngsters in the water for a couple of weeks before they bring them out. Now at least light's working. It's awkward sometimes when it's too dark for light and it's too light, or rather it's too light for lights and it's too dark to see. What it was like earlier, but now I should be able to pick up any of these tracks if you came this way, but I think he went the other side of Quarry Pan and he's probably gone towards Nyala Road North, if not even Buffelshoek Dam, this leopard. Or it could have just gone straight on into this block where they sometimes do. There's a very eroded patch of ground just west of this pan we call Quarry Pan. It's the same as walking a road or walking there. It's open, it's smooth, it's quiet. Thought maybe there'd be an owl to look at while I'm putting fluid in. I'll do this quickly, it won't take long. On a road called Nyala Road North, and we're going to follow it all the way down to Nyala Road South, take that one as well. Idea what the guys are up to, but they're still on tracks, or looking for tracks at least. They found elephant and buffalo at one of the big dams up on the property north of us. Steve, hello Steve in the UK. Have we had any dangerous encounters with animals in the wild? Yeah, sort of, I guess. Can't live amongst wild animals and not have the odd encounter. Next question. Tammy, is it safe to be walking around like I was earlier? Tammy, I feel better walking around here than I do in a city. I feel safer here than in a city. It wouldn't be safe for your average human. I feel safe because I know what I believe, I know what I'm doing. I'm alert, I know what I'm listening to, I know what I'm looking at, I know what I know. Well, can't be 100% certain, but I'm assuming you mean when I was looking at tracks earlier. Tell me, I've spent most of my life on foot in the bush, so I kind of have this theory. I have a great respect for everything. I have a great understanding of everything, and I have a great passion for everything. And with that comes the understanding that because I live in it and I'm part of it, I have the understanding that one day maybe there might just be something behind the bush when I get out of a car or I'm doing a walk or something. I'll take that as and when it comes, but for the most part, I wouldn't say it's perfectly safe, but we know what we're doing. I don't see it as anything bad. I mean, there would be places in the city that I wouldn't be seen dead out of a car. Well, I wouldn't even be seen in a car in some of the places in some of the cities here, or in any other country for that matter. You have some areas where you just don't go, whether you're in a car or not. But I have to tell you something, and anywhere in a city, I feel more timid, I feel more threatened, I feel more afraid than anything I've ever done in the bush. And I've done overnight walks, I've done overnight walking safaris. We don't walk at night, we sleep in the mosquito nets. But this is nature. In nature, we should. At some point tonight on the drive, you'll see a little scrub hare. A scrub hare survives because it knows what it's listening to. It knows everything about its surroundings, and it can sense danger. And every now and then, it's got to react to things. If a little scrub hare can be a successful species out here, then it can't be that bad for us humans. What is really bad is the way humans behave, and that's what gets us into trouble, because humans think they can walk up to animals and they can do all sorts of things that animals don't really understand, and animals react in a different way. An animal is not going to see me as a conservationist or somebody who knows about animals, or animal's not going to see me any differently to the person from the city who comes out here blissfully ignorant of what it is up against. So I guess in some ways I'm just as at just as much risk of being attacked by an animal as anyone else. Maybe what it is knowing what my limitations are, knowing also the surroundings, the bush, the plants, the animals, knowing their behavior, knowing where they are to some degree, or where they aren't for that matter, I think is what stands me in better stead than the person that comes from the city. If there is something there, well, I generally take care about what is in my immediate surroundings if and when I do walk around looking for tracks. Most of the time we're looking at tracks, it's when there is a predator around, and yeah, actually half the time it would be nice if the predator was nearby, because it would give you some indication of where it is, and then you get back in the car and view it with the vehicle, because they behave differently to the vehicle than to humans on foot. I suppose simple answer to your question, no, it's not really dangerous. It's not something that I would say that you could do if you come to the park and you don't know what you're doing. I wouldn't advise it. very at home in the bush. Hello, buffalo. And here's another buffalo. He's full of mud. There's a mud wallow here. He's just come out of it. Full of mud, this old boy. Hello, Buff. Hello, Jill in Missouri. Missouri. Muddy buffalo. Muddy on one side. Okay. Sorry. Don't want to shine on him. He's diurnal animal and all. Jill wants to know if we ever come across snakes on the drive. She absolutely loves snakes. I do too, Jill. And sadly, no, not enough. We come across their tracks where they've just been. Very seldom do we come across the snakes themselves. And yes, to some degree, to a large degree perhaps, the sound and the vibration of the vehicle chases them away. They're very sensitive. They're very quick. But every now and then we do come across a snake in the summer months. Now, in the dry season, winter sort of months, I've been expecting to find maybe a snake sticking its head out of a hole in a tree where it's spending most of the winter in the early morning when the sun's starting to warm things up, because the snakes will still be active on warm days in winter. Not as active, but we still find the odd snake track in the road. You hear the birds, obviously. They find the snakes a lot easier than everyone else. Often hear birds shouting at snakes during the day. It's just sometimes very difficult to find them. Like to also remind everyone that unfortunately tonight we are going to have to postpone Fireside Chat. We're a little bit short staffed, so we're going to have to not do Fireside Chat tonight, mainly because we're all busy right now. None of us have time to, well, not time, none of us are able to be there to set it up. Also going to have a guest join us on FSC Rhino Tracks. Ryan from Arathusa was going to come along. We were going to sit and chat to him, and maybe we'll just have to put, well, he had to cancel, unfortunately. Also, but maybe next week. Craig is back and Seb comes back. And for the next 2 weeks we'll probably be as full of staff as we can be. Drive in the riverbed. Cats love to spend time on the soft sand. Question from good evening, Juan. Had dinner with Juan and his wife and daughter last night. Zainab and little Sophia. Hello to you. Back in Pretoria after being here at Djuma, and Juan asking if we saw the leopard and the cubs this afternoon. No, we didn't, unfortunately, Juan. And I want to know, did you see the lion this morning? Because we were talking about that last night. Hopefully you saw lion this morning. Nice to hear from you too. Soon to be moving to Washington. Antelope that I don't want to shine the light on. Okay. Hello, Pamela in Iowa, and welcome, Pamela. I don't know if I call you Pam yet. Welcome to Wild Earth Safari. Glad you've discovered us, and glad that you're fascinated. Funny enough, you said something that a friend of mine once said on her first trip here. Pamela's saying the trees don't look very big. Well, I mean, look, we got big trees. Yeah, boy, have we got big trees. Big jackalberries and big acacia. This is the riverbed, so obviously not where you were talking about. But Pamela was saying earlier on, she noticed that the trees weren't very big. And in some places they aren't, in some places they're just shrubs. In some places, it depends on what species they are, but there was one area where we're driving just before it got dark. Well, it was just getting dark. I just started using the light, and a lot of dead leaves on the round leaf teak, and all of that. They would normally be very big trees if the elephants left them alone. I wouldn't call it destruction, Pamela. It's just utilization of natural resources, renewable resources at that. But I wouldn't really call it destruction. And the elephants, the part of the tree that they use are the small saplings, or rather the small recoppicing branches. They chew the bark off of them, so they don't ever let those trees get big. And in places where they don't utilize those trees in that way, that particular type of tree does get quite big in some places. But here we're along a dry water course. Here, this is a different area. Here the trees, some of the trees get very tall. A lot of the trees that we have now, well, some of them still have to grow up. They will eventually. Elephants will be breaking a lot of these. That's why a lot of these got multiple stems, because of the way elephants feed, and the more they feed, the more stems they get. So kind of they regenerate more food for the elephants. There's a bush baby over there. Let's see if we can get it around the corner. So yeah, in some cases they're kept fairly short because of elephants, and in some cases because they're fairly young trees, and in some cases they are quite tall. Hello, Caroline, I think, in Chicago. Or is it Carolina? Able to hear it over this in this part of the world. Is it Caroline? I mean rhino and elephant here today. Caroline. Besides, see, we should have been here earlier. I think we would have found elephant. These might have been the elephant that were at Weaver's Nest Junction with Gowrie Main. Same elephant that went from here to there. What is our job during the day in between safaris? Well, there's stuff in camp, there's vehicle maintenance, there's a scrub here. Little nocturnal lepus. Gone down. Alright, I've lost the scrub here. We do a lot of Herman and Seb and Becky do a lot of editing of stuff that requires either scripting or voiceover work. There's a lot of post-production stuff that we do. We're busy. There's a lot of research. We do a lot of also the bit of social networking that we do. We do a lot of reading. Or we should. Sometimes we don't get enough time to do the reading that we should, so we can keep up with information and keep our facts and knowledge up. Scrub here. Okay, you don't run in my life there. No, I'm good. I'll stay on the road. Okay, we're at Twin Dam. We'll see if there's hippos around. I doubt it, but we'll see anyway. Hippo's gone. He must be at another dam somewhere. Tight squeeze. You right? You there? You there? Hello? Can be a little monotonous at times, but there's just this anticipation that there's going to be something behind the next bush or the next corner or the next road, the next dam, something. Elephant we have today. Missed them. Yes, my elephant sensors weren't working properly. realised we're finally making it to all 4 dams in one game drive. So we could say 5 dams if you count going to Gowrie Dam twice. These elephant all came up here. Wouldn't be surprised if they're at the dam. This is fresh elephant track that we've got on the road heading up towards Treehouse Dam. Might well be at the dam. At the water. Looks like they've been and gone. No, there are elephants at the water. Pity it's dark and don't like to really shine on elephants, but there are some ellies down there. One little one still drinking. Bounce light off of the water on him. Maybe that helps. One of the young bulls lagging behind the herd. I know it's very difficult to see, but I'm afraid that because we can't really put right light on him. There may be the floodlight on this that doesn't work. We can just maybe see his tusk, so it needs a single spotlight to change the focus of the light. He still is too far away to really get a good look at him, and I'm not going to shine too much on him. I was given misinformation. I was told they were going south, and they didn't. They came to Treehouse Dam. They came northwest. Oh well. Win some and we lose some. I guess today I'm a bit of a loser. Hello, Brenda. How are you, Brenda? Asking if there are walking safaris. Now, do you mean with us? Or do you mean in general in the bush? Do you mean here at Djuma? Brenda, maybe if you could be a bit more specific. Maybe I'll just answer each one accordingly. We don't have the equipment to do walking safaris anymore. We used to. We had borrowed some special stuff that we could. It required being close to the vehicle, so the camera person and the presenter had to walk within, say, within maybe 50 to 100 yards of the vehicle to be able to broadcast the picture from the backpack. This thing in a backpack to the vehicle, and then from the vehicle to final control, and then final control to the world. Here, the elephants. Tail sticking out into the road. Looks like they might just get stuck here for a little while, because I can't go any further. You can do a walking safari with elephants leaking, very wet legs. It's a female, so she's maybe she dribbled on her legs when she weed. Sorry, I'm in the way. It's got her back to me so I can put the light on it. Here at Juma, they do take you for a walk in between safaris, but if you really want walking safaris, there are places where you can do 4 or 5 day walking safaris. Some of them you carry your own backpack and sleeping gear. Some of the luxury walking safaris in other parts of Africa, you only have to carry your camera and binoculars and water. In fact, I used to carry the water for my guests. I used to carry a backpack with first aid and water, and we'd walk all day and camp out at night. And I'd have all the equipment and bedding and food and water and everything sent up ahead by vehicle, so we didn't have to carry too much. Oops. It wasn't my elbow. Becky's got fingers that do things that my elbows do. Pressing wrong buttons. Hello, little one. Look at it. Tusking the bum. There's this mum. This female. She's very round. Maybe she's wet because her water broke. I don't know. How skinny her legs are and how big. And look at that. So out of proportion, that female. Skinny little legs and this huge round body. Hello, David in Oxford. Sorry, I'm going to move. Maybe get a better. I don't really want to spend too much time with lights on these ellies. It's nice to be amongst them. I tell you something. It's special to be even just sitting here in the dark and listening to them feeding. Hello, little girl. Little boy. Sorry. David in Oxford. Now I can make it more of a floodlight rather than a spotlight. There we go. Oh, there's a big female in. Hello. Oh, a little boy and another little boy. Hello, children. Nice to come and say hello to everybody. David was asking about rain. Did we have good rains this year? He's saying it's looking very dry. David only knows of the one thunderstorm that we had. David, we had exceptionally good rains. In fact, it's July and it's remarkably green for this time of the year. The very heavy and very late rains. Sorry, Becky. Very late and very heavy rains were very good. Filled up the dams, left water in the water table. Okay. This little one's right next to us. My friend. Hello, Tembo. Trying to shield the light a little bit with my hand. That's my excuse. I'm actually using the heat of the light to warm up my hand. David, our rainy season is our summer. Oh, here comes. Hello. Everybody's coming to say hello to us now. Just when it's time to say goodbye. Hello. 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 Hello, little one. Right in front of the car. If they didn't like the light, they would leave. I think this might have been the one that was at the water. He's got wet socks. Wet feet. Look at that. Like he's wearing gumboots. Looks just like he's wearing galoshes. Elephant galoshes. Bye bye, little boy. I'll talk to this little boy. He's a friend. He's a one-tusked little boy. Quite friendly. Hello, Robin, and glad to hear from you. Robin in the US, ex-South African, saying how wonderful it is to find us and to be able to recommend to clients who might be coming on safari what a safari looks like. Well, welcome aboard, Robin. I'm glad we can bring a little bit of Africa to your office this afternoon. Where was that? In Kentucky? Kentucky, little elephant. You're being watched in Kentucky. Notice how an elephant doesn't really think much of that. Elephant saying, where's Kentucky? Is it near Skukuza? Biting off the little sticks to get to the bark. A little bit of perspective. That's just the dashboard of the car. There's still 3 or 4 feet to the front end of the car, so little one is only a few feet in front of the vehicle. Happily chewing away at the bark of this bush willow. Not too concerned at all with us, or even with me talking. I'm just gonna pan and scan, pan. There's another little one. Oh, there's Gumboot Charlie. Yeah, break that whole tree. It's a baby jackleberry. What do you want to do with that little thing? Okay, eat the leaves, that's what she wants. I guess it's time to say goodbye to all these wonderful beings out here. Bye bye. Okay, I'll say goodbye to you from here, because to put the light on myself standing next to this elephant would maybe be a little bit inappropriate, as well as it's in my eyes and I can't see what elephant's doing, which is just feeding, of course, but it's I'm getting a taste of my own medicine now. Bright light in the eyes. I wish I could sit here forever and just listen to these elephants feeding in the dark. I do that a lot. One of the things that I do at home when I'm on leave, I do this a lot. When I have elephants near me at home, I get into my Land Rover and I don't use lights. I just go and sit in the dark with them and just be with them. It's just being with them that makes me happy. Of course, we need to show you, so every now and then when we see them at night, especially if we haven't seen them much during the day, is just try and bounce lights off of the ground and show them to you. So I hope you've at least had a nice glimpse into what we can see tomorrow. Start of a new week. Well, for us it's still going to be kind of a Sunday fun day type of day. Looking for elephants, finding leopard tracks. Tara will be out here at 6:30 Central African time. My name is Mark, and Becky has been on camera, and Herman and Tara have been in final control. From all of us at Wild Earth Safari, we want to thank you for your patronage, your viewership, joining us, and thanks for the questions. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.